Hi, and welcome to Enchantment of Eternity's quick review for 3% Season 1. This video is a part of a series of videos where I give a quick spoiler-free review of a TV show currently airing. These videos are mainly for those who haven't seen the show, but those who have will know more of what I'm talking about. This video is where I review the Netflix show 3%. This video will contain mild spoilers about the first episode. So 3% is a new Netflix show from Brazil, and yes, it is all in Portuguese, so it is entirely subtitles for English-speaking viewers, which I know it will be a big turnoff for a lot of people. And I must admit, it did take me a bit longer to watch the show because of it, because typically I like to watch shows while browsing the net, or playing games, or when I'm tired and half asleep, but because of the subtitles I had to be paying full attention. But that being said, it overall didn't bother me too much. So the show, it takes place in a dystopian future where there's this ideal society known as the offshore that is apparently a paradise, but only a select few can live there. Every year, the majority of 20-year-olds compete in a competition known as the process, where only 3% of all candidates are chosen to live in a utopian society, the offshore. And only 20-year-olds are considered for the process, so people only have one chance, and 97% of them fail. So those that don't make it to the offshore live in a crime-ridden land referred to as the inland. So the show follows a group of young candidates as they compete in the process to try to make it to the offshore. And the show also touches on a resistant group known as the Calls that is morally opposed to the process, as they find it an elitist and exclusionist form of society where they believe the offshore should be enjoyed by all and not just a chosen minority. And one of the candidates for the process is revealed to be an infiltrator for the Calls, which raises the stakes. So I was attracted to this show for my own personal reasons, as the premise of it sounds very similar to a short story I wrote 10 years ago that I made into a short film twice and a stage play, although neither film has decent quality and is something I wouldn't show to the public, but I've been thinking about making a better quality version because I personally believe it's the best story I've come up with, but probably will never get around to it. Anyway, a friend of mine watched the show and thought it was very similar to my idea, but also very different. Mine was more short and had more fantastical elements, whereas this show was a lot more practical. So I was overall impressed with the show, and it was interesting seeing something with a similar idea to the one I had. The show has been said to have a YA or Hunger Games feel to it. The title really reminds me of the show The 100, but is actually probably more like the Hunger Games, where young people are forced to compete with each other. Of course, in this case, it's not a battle to the death, but a series of tests constructed to show the wit, fitness, and resilience of the contestants. In fact, I'd say the whole show plays out kind of like a scripted version of a reality contest show. And I don't even mean that as a negative, because here's the thing about reality shows. I think they are disgusting, and their existence cheapens television overall. But that's mainly because the title of the genre is a lie. It's not reality. It's just a pre-planned and scripted, just as fiction TV shows are. They just do it under the guise of being reality so that they don't have to pay actors or set designers or many other creative minds that deserve to be paid. So it's just a cheap way to do a show which studios love because they get big returns without having to spend much money. But in the end, they are cheaper, shittier versions of fiction shows, and it's directly because of these pieces of crap that some of the best shows like Firefly and Stargate Universe that are actually delivered on great drama, acting, and production values get canceled. But I'm not opposed to a scripted version of a reality show because the basic concept of them, a bunch of strangers from different backgrounds competing against each other, is an interesting concept. So to see the concept played out with actual actors and good production value is something I'm all for. And a lot of the characters do come off as archetypes you'd find in a typical reality competition show, such as the asshole that no one likes, the urban person from the streets, the sweet and lovely person, and the rich person who has had every advantage in life. But again, I think there's nothing wrong with the concept, and the show takes complete advantage of it. The one thing I like about the show is that unlike the Hunger Games, which is very clear on who the good guys and the bad guys are, this show muddles the line on whose side you should be on, the cause or the process. And just when you think you know who the good guys are, the show does something to make you think otherwise. Although I do think they could have done a better job at exploring the positives of having a society where only a chosen few were allowed, as it seems to portray mostly its negatives, whereas I think they missed an opportunity to make a social commentary on how that society actually parallels our own and is no different or worse, no better or worse, it's just different. But maybe that's just me. Also, this show uses flashbacks, and not in the way that Lost uses them, but more like the way Orange is the New Black uses them, and so that is to say they're mostly boring and unnecessary. There was one episode that was entirely flashback, and I will say I did not hate this episode because it did reveal a lot of interesting backstory to a main character that really fleshed him out and made him more dynamic, but I'd say it is my least favorite episode of the season, as I was much more interested to see the present day storyline progress, and taking a whole episode off felt a bit too much like a waste of time. And I was less impressed with the ending of the season, which didn't suck by any stretch of the imagination, but it wasn't great either. It didn't seem like a worthy climax to all the tension that was building all season, so it was kind of just there. So my rating for 3% out of 10 is a 7, very good. It was an interesting concept with interesting characters that had me engaged. It did seem more character rather than plot driven than some of these other YA shows like The 100, so I appreciated that, and I appreciated the moral gray area it walked with between both sides of the conflict. But the season was littered with a lot of predictable and cliche moments, as well as useless flashbacks and an ending that wasn't that impressive, so it didn't blow me away either. So as for the question of will I watch the next season, I'm going to have to go with sure, why not? I'm not sure it will get another season, as I could see the story ending with season 1, but I could see it continuing as well. So if there's another season, I will most likely watch it, as the show was engaging enough. So that's it for my quick review of 3%. Be sure to keep an eye on my channel as I continue to do quick spoiler-free reviews of shows currently airing, as well as many more videos on shows like Game of Thrones, Star Trek, Vikings, and more. So be sure to subscribe so you can keep up with all of that. And thanks a lot for watching.